funny that it's Essendon player testing positive or something, isn't it?
Pull your finger out of your ass.
Jeez.
This is my first ever football jumper. My three votes, I should say. My three goats. My three votes for Charlie. Oh, top of the world, mate.
What a time to be alive.
I look a bit like Nickel Bellic from GTA 4, I feel, with this.
That could get dangerous.
How good. How good. Forza Azzurri.
That's a different way to enter the podcast.
Oh, we love it. We'll probably confuse a lot of people there, but yeah, as a lot of you know, Euros are on at the moment. We're both Italian, so we're up and about with it, and Quinn's just got his Optus Sport login, so he's just become a soccer fan as well, which is great.
That's it, mate. Jump shipped at the moment. After I saw Friday night's performance from the Tigers, I thought, geez, I better find a successful team, and Italy are doing quite well at the moment, so go back to the motherland and give them some support.
Yeah, absolutely. They're flying at the moment in the quarterfinals this weekend, so yeah, so it's been great, and obviously I'm decked out in the Italian merch, which is great.
That's it. We've got our coffees with us now, so very Italian.
Got the coffees. What's it called?
Cheers. A bit of Medicina.
Medicina.
That's it. So just a bit of sip this. Okay.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm not. I need to brush up on my skills.
But yeah, no, this is good. So it's a good start to the podcast. It's a pretty grim week for me. Normally you're the one coming in with a pretty dour mood, but it's me this week, so it's something different. But yeah, the Italy theme song and the coffee, and it's all cheering out. We've got some biscotti as well.
We do. Forgot to mention that.
Which is biscuits for you Aussie folk out there.
Yep. Yeah. So we're really Italian tonight, which is good fun. Mix it up a bit. Got to have a bit of fun, especially after the Tigers only kicked 2 goals for the game on the weekend.
That wasn't very fun.
So let's start there.
Yeah, let's get it out of the way. Let's get this one done and dusted. I think the most annoying thing for me is seeing St Kilda supporters go on about how well they played, but for anyone that watched the game, they really didn't. We were just dog shit, and that's putting it pretty bluntly. We were just awful. I thought couldn't hit a target. We had more uncontested possessions than St Kilda did, but with all of them, I think, not all of them obviously, but with a lot of them, we kept turning it over. We were fumbling. Couldn't kick a goal to save ourselves. Like you said, we kicked 2 goals, which is our lowest score in since 1927, I think. So it's been a long time, and I was feeling pretty grim.
I vomited all over myself. I want everyone to see what Richmond's done to me.
That's what it did.
You call up SEN, did you?
I did. I called up SEN, I rang in, and they've recorded me. Sorry, so that's what's popped up. But yeah, I'm going to play this every time Richmond have a shit game. It's been 2 times this year I've played that, and there's probably been a few more times I could have played it, but yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, I know for a mutual fan it would have been pretty boring, I'm guessing.
It was. I mean, it was just so surprising what was going on. I think we all just expected Richmond to eventually just claw their way back. I mean, just the way the Saints have been playing this season, and then to see them leap out to a lead that they did, and you just thought, Richmond will come back, but you just never did. And then the Saints just kept piling on the goals, and when they ended up winning by about 40 points. So,
which in saying that, if we that's what I mean. If we played a good team, the margin would have been ridiculous.
By a lot more.
That would have been ridiculous. That's why I think a lot of people thought we were still in the hunt, because they never really blew out to an uncatchable lead. I mean, yeah, in the last quarter when you're 40 points down, you're probably not coming back. But up until about halfway through the third quarter, we were still a good chance at coming back, just because of the Richmond we've been in the past and what they've seen us do before. But yeah, it was pretty embarrassing to say the least.
Yeah, for sure.
First game back at the G as well. I was there. I was pretty excited. I thought, you beauty. I got given Medallion Club tickets and everything. So I was sitting center wing, perfect spot. Drinks on the house. It was perfect. Everything was going the way it should have, apart from the result.
Yeah, it was. Unbelievable night at the G, and I don't know. It puts the Saints like it's almost a like. Are they back? Or is it just they just took their opportunity against a really bad Richmond team? No,
I think they just took their opportunity against a bad Richmond team.
This win only puts them a game out of the 8, which is crazy to think.
Well, that's the thing. It gives them a sniff. It doesn't bring them back into form, but it does give them a sniff.
Absolutely.
If they find some form, there's still a chance for sure. But I don't think you can take too much from this game. Maybe I'm just being salty, but I really don't think you can take much from this game. Like I said, if they were a good team and they were really in some good form, they would have beaten us by a lot more than 40 with the performance we put up.
Absolutely. But no, they'll take it. They'll take it. And some very happy Saints supporters over the weekend, that's for sure. Buddy Franklin, how good is he? He's getting closer and closer to 1,000 goals.
There's a reason why he's considered one of the greatest players of all time, and to some, he arguably is the greatest player of all time. So there's a reason for that, and he's shown it again and again. And how old is he now? And he's still doing it.
Oh, he's 34.
He'd have to be around
something
there.
like
yeah,
that.
and I know he's not as consistent as he once was, and he's going to have his off games, and he gets injured a lot more recently. But just to do the things that he's doing at his age still, it's a testament to how good he's been.
Yeah, and even that rundown tackle on Tom Jonas late in the last quarter was
Huge.
so good. It's great. It's great to see. It's great to see a legend still running around and doing well. So it's great. And Sydney couldn't quite get over the line as much as Buddy really willed them to it. But they just got pipped at the line by Port. But I hope he gets it. I think he will get 1,000 goals. I think
if he plays one more year, I think he's a good
Yeah,
sniff. But
it's gonna be
just
very tough
depends
this
what
year.
happens. He's not going to kick it this year. I think he's still.
there's 7 games left. He needs.
He needs to kick like nearly 40 goals, doesn't he?
Nah,
What's
he's
he
on 973.
Okay, so he still
He
needs
needs
to
to
kick
kick
28.
27
27
goals.
goals. Sorry, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a lot of goals.
He's going to need a big finish.
Yeah, I mean, if they make finals and he gets a few extra games, who knows?
Yeah.
So I think they will play finals too. So you never know. We'll see what happens with that. But in saying that as well, that's Port Adelaide's first win against a top 8 side.
It is. They
is
needed that.
huge.
They needed that win badly because, they've had that title of flat track bullies this season.
See, well, I mean, they beat Richmond, but when they beat us, we weren't in the top 8 at that stage,
Yeah.
so it doesn't count. But now they've actually beaten the side while they're currently in the top 8, so they'd be pretty happy with that. At least now they can, they can say, well, you can only beat who's in front of you, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you can call them flat track bullies all you want, but they've beaten the top 8 team at home. I guess it'd be interesting to see if they beat them away. But they'll be pretty happy with that, I reckon.
Yeah, for
Sitting
sure.
top 4 now.
Yeah, they're in the top 4 now.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
that was huge for them. Speaking of a top 4 team, Melbourne, back on the winners list after that disappointing loss to the Pies a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Just grounded out like a good team does. I was at that Essendon Melbourne game, and it was a pretty good game. Essendon really put in a good performance up until about the third quarter, where Melbourne got back in front and started to control the game a bit. But Essendon had their chances to win. They were just very wasteful going inside forward 50, and Essendon fans probably wouldn't say that. They just blame the umpires, as they all were that night. But they took it right up to the Ds, and the Ds just found a way to win, and it's what good teams do. They don't have to win pretty, but they just got the job done.
That was the word I was about to use. It wasn't pretty. I mean, they only won by 11 points. You would have tipped Melbourne to win by a fair bit more than that. But yeah, like you said, good teams find a way to grind out wins even when they're not looking likely to do so. And Melbourne were able to do just that. But yeah, even from watching behind the TV, you could hear Essendon supporters just giving it to the umpires. And
They were fierce.
Yeah, but they've always been like that.
They're notoriously bad at that sort of stuff.
I can't speak for every Essendon supporter out there, but I got a couple on Facebook that every time they lose, there's always a status about how bad the
Umpire
umpires
bashing.
were and all that sort of stuff. How about you just own the loss?
Yeah, I know. Like umpiring there's always going to be bad umpiring and bad decisions, but when supporters take it personally and they think that the umpires have a vendetta against their team, that's when it's just ridiculous. You know?
That's when it's too far. I mean, I know we've talked about it on this podcast before, especially I've been pretty vocal about how poor the umpiring has been this year. But, not in particular to one team. Like, I think it's been poor across the board. So I don't think there's a vendetta against any one team. But, anyway.
Yeah.
That's another story.
But, there was some pretty bad decisions, especially late in that game. Yeah, the Tip and Woody one stands out, where definitely should have been holding the ball. And if he gets a free kick, has a shot and goal and kicks the goal, then who knows what happens in that game, because it was pretty tight. So, but saying that, Essendon just kept bombing it inside 50 late, and Jake Lever and Stephen May just kept intercepting it. So it was, they almost lost that game themselves. But they played a bloody good game. Zach Merritt, Darcy Parish, just
guns
continue to find the footy at ease. They do.
You got a magnet or the ball's on a string, one of the two.
Crazy.
They're just killing it at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Essendon, from the stage that they're at with their list, they can walk away from a game like this, and the fans will be pretty pissed off they lost, but they'll be happy as a whole that they took it up to Melbourne the way they did and put on a really good performance. They'll be very happy with that.
Oh, absolutely. They're having a great season, but they're probably exactly where you would expect. Like they're beating the teams that they should beat, but then they're getting close to the top teams, but not quite getting over the line. So, and that's pretty much where they're at. So, you'd be pretty happy if you're an Essendon supporter with the way they're going. What about the young Hawks? Geez,
Jeez.
they're finding some form.
Let me tell you right now, I was a very big Hawthorn supporter come Sunday afternoon because if the Giants had won that, would have pushed the Tigers out of the top 8, and we bloody deserve to be out of the top 8 with some of the performances we've had this year. But Hawthorn held strong and got I'd say, yeah, it's definitely an upset win, would you say?
Oh,
over
yeah,
the
definitely.
Giants for sure.
Yeah.
By 18 points as well, so it wasn't like they just got over the line. They won by a few goals, and they look great. They're young players. They're going to be so good in a few years, and it just goes to show how good Hawthorn are as a club, that they can rebuild, but it's not like they're going to be down in the dumps for too long. Like they're already on their way back up, and they never really spent much time down the bottom, did they?
No, they I mean, they've got Alistair Clarkson at the helm as well. That helps. And you got players like Tom Mitchell, who's back in that Brownlow medal form of a couple of years ago, and just continues to find the footy. And geez, Tim O'Brien took one of the marks of the year as well, if not the mark of the year. Did you say that?
Yeah, it definitely was a mark of the year. Jack Rewald or Shea Bolton's got that one, but it was huge.
Or my check.
He flew across the pack in the goal square there. That was it
was a great mark, yeah.
Unreal. And did you see Jai Newcomb kicked his first goal
Yeah,
as well?
saw that as well. Yeah.
Pretty crazy. Did you hear what he said about the MCG before the game? It was his first time ever being at the G. And I think it must have been one of the Hawthorn media team. They go, "What do you think of the G?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's not bad."
Wow.
Just goes to show how separated he's probably been from understanding that. Well, I guess he understands the significance of the G. He's probably just having taken the mickey out of it a little bit. But he played really well as well for a young guy too. So, yeah, like we said, Hawthorn's young guns are putting them in good stead. And I reckon only a couple of years before they're back playing finals.
Yep. The Giants, though, massive missed opportunity to come in the 8.
They should be in the 8 right now.
They should be.
For sure. Because they've dropped a couple other games this year that they probably should have won as well when they went through that down patch, I guess that's what you want to call it. But yeah, that'll be opportunity missed. Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
The Doggies absolutely smashed West Coast over there. I did not expect this. I tipped West Coast because I thought at home they had a lot of players come back in their team as well. And Dogs taught them a lesson. Similar to the West Coast were very similar to the way Richmond were. They were just very sluggish and missed a lot of easy targets and shots at goal.
Just complacency, I feel. I reckon it was probably a bit of, we should win this game. We probably will win this game.
We're at home. We've got all their players back.
Yeah, and they just didn't turn up. And I think that's, from what I saw, that's what it looked like it happened anyway. So Dogs will be loving life at the moment.
They're looking back to their early season form now.
I know everybody jumped on Melbourne's shit pretty quickly after the Dogs lost their first one, and everyone's like, well, Melbourne haven't lost yet, and they've been hyping the D's up, and rightfully so, but the Dogs are they're very dangerous.
They're looking scary. Their midfield, their forward line's functioning unbelievably well.
Aaron Norton is a superstar in the making. He's already a gun, but he's going to be a superstar in a year or two, I reckon. If that, I reckon even sooner.
Absolutely. Then you got Jack McRae, who's I think it's 17 games in a row. I'm not sure, but 17 games in a row of 30 plus disposals, which is absurd. So he continues to find the footy. And then you got Bailey Smith, who's dominating as well. And the Bont, who's probably winning the Brownlow at the moment.
He'd have to be. I mean, even in pressure point voting,
he's up there.
I put him in every week.
Yeah.
And, not because I favour him, just because he deserves to be there. So he'd have to be high in the Brownlow count as well, you'd imagine.
For sure. Speaking of someone who could be pretty high in the Brownlow count is Sam Walsh, playing a lone figure for the Blues this season.
He's got no one taking votes off him.
Yeah, he's dominating. For a 21-year-old, he's teaching seasoned midfielders an absolute lesson every time he steps onto the footy field.
What's scary about Sam Walsh and the things that he can do at this stage is, where do you go from here? Because what do you have on the weekend? 40-something touches?
38.
38, was it? Okay, He nearly had 40 touches on the weekend for a 21-year-old or however old he is. Where do you go from here? Do you stagnate? I mean, not that that's a bad place to stagnate. You'd be pretty happy if you played a consistent career around that mark. But if he gets even better, where does it end for him? He's a freak. He's so good.
It's crazy to think what he could be in 5 or 6 years.
I know. He might, in 5 or 6 years, he could honestly almost catch Connor Rosie. He's that good. He could get there. It's
a good one. Well done.
Thanks, mate.
He's a freak. Speaking of the Blues, they finally got a win on the board after a very, very tough few weeks, getting smashed from pillar to post in the media and on this podcast and many other Carlton platforms. So it was more of a relieving win than anything, just to get a win in any way possible. And the way they played, especially in that second quarter, was some of the best footy I've seen Carlton play in a very long time. It was quick, blistering. Sard, Williams off halfback were great. Cripps kicked an unbelievable goal. He was playing really good after he's signed that bill, which happened after our last podcast. So we haven't even spoken about that. Patrick Cripps signing for 6 years.
Finally.
Yep.
Finally got pen to paper.
Taking a pay cut as well, and very selfless, and that's how you endear yourself to the Carlton faithful.
And I hope this is a message that goes out to other players as well throughout the league, that sometimes the better, I mean, it's yet to be seen, but sometimes the better option is sticking with the team, being loyal, and, if you get paid a little bit less, I mean, really, we call it a pay cut, but he's still making a lot more money than most regular people in this country are making, so he's not going to be, short of any change, that's for sure, but, he's done the right thing by the club, he's captaining them, he's shown faith to them, and he stayed on, and there's been a couple of players to do that in the past few years now, and, it's good to see. I don't like seeing people jump ship too often.
Yep.
But I was really happy to see Cripps resign, but it was funny to see the difference in reaction from some Carlton supporters from 2 weeks ago when everyone was bagging him because they thought he was leaving, and then he signs and everyone loves him again.
Yeah,
but that's football, isn't it?
Yeah. You got your nuffies out there that are like that. It's just people just have short memories. Patrick Cripps was the best player in the competition for 2 years there and dominating everything, and then he has one bad season and hasn't signed his contract yet, and you all of a sudden hate him. So, it was never in doubt for mine. I never thought he was going to leave. You can just tell he just loves the club, and he's always been that team first player. So, great to have him sign on, and great for the Blues to get a win. And one more player I want to mention as well, Jacob Wiedering, has to be All-Australian this year.
Well, he got snubbed last year. If he doesn't make it this year,
he'll make it this
someone
year.
up there needs to be having
He has to. We had
chat.
22 touches and 16 marks on the weekend. And then he's
That's game-saving stuff, right?
Oh, he was unbelievable.
He won by 10 points. If he takes
Yep.
6 less marks than he did, just for example, Tex takes a couple more.
Yeah,
Who
exactly.
knows?
It was huge. And then Liam Jones, his partner in crime, was just as good as well. So those two have been unbelievable all season. If it wasn't for those two, geez, who knows where Carlton would be. But they're both having great seasons. Potential Victorian hub is on the cards and looking very likely after the COVID chaos that's happening everywhere else but Vic.
Which is very surprising.
Considering what happened last year.
That's it. I know Sydney was one of the first ones to go into lockdown. They've had a few cases. I've heard the Premier Gladys, I can't remember her surname. Do you remember her surname, Gladys?
Not sure. Don't put me on the spot here.
Yeah, no. I was just asking if you knew because I can't remember for the life of me. But yeah, she was the one that was pretty adamant that COVID wasn't to be fixed with a lockdown, and was making fun of Melbourne for going into lockdowns. And now look who's in a lockdown.
Yeah, she's doing
Gladys.
it.
I did hear she came down with a serious case of ligma, so I hope she's all right. I hope she's doing okay. We'll wait and see. But so it suck egg Sydney. But like we said, the football could be coming back to Melbourne, and who knows? I'll be pretty happy with that because we're supposed to be playing Gold Coast this week. So if it comes to Melbourne, we might get him at the G, which would be actually, you know what? I don't even know if the G's a bonus for us anymore. But
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? But it would be good to see football back in Melbourne because it's the home of football, whether you agree with it or not. And it'd be good to see, to give back to, especially the Queensland teams and the WA teams after they held us last year. It'd be good to give back.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They saved us. So let's return the favour. But yeah, there was also talk of the footy frenzy as well. So having those, games on every night, which would be great, especially for Victorians.
If we can go to the games, huge.
That'd be great.
That'd be massive.
Tuesday night footy, Wednesday night footy.
I'd be going. I'd be going a few times a week, I reckon, if I got the chance. So that'd be fantastic. I'd love to see it. Whether it works or not, logistically, is yet to be seen. But I wouldn't mind the idea of it.
I think they just want the season to be done, especially now that it's late. There's a lot of teams that aren't in contention for finals anymore. So let's just get the season done.
There's only 8 rounds left.
Yeah.
So let's smash it out.
Smash it out. Because, there's going to be a lot of dead rubber games come up anyway. So may as well just get the season done.
Yeah.
Which I'm not against because it'd be great, which means more footy more often.
That's it.
But let's move on to round 16, and it all starts on Thursday nights between Gold Coast and Richmond, as you just mentioned earlier. Scheduled for Metricon, but who knows what could happen. And as we go through all these games as well, we're going to say where it's scheduled to be, but most likely a lot of them aren't going to be where they're scheduled to be.
Yeah, exactly right. So who knows? But if we can only talk about what we've got in front of us at the moment. And we've got Richmond versus Gold Coast at Metricon. And I don't really have much to say about this. I'm surprised we've got another primetime slot. I don't know how Gold Coast have got a primetime
I'm not
game,
sure
to
how
be
that
honest.
happened.
It's beyond me. But we're there. We like that. So I think Richmond really have to bounce back here. We've got a couple more injuries, which I'm not even surprised anymore. The amount of key players who've had injuries too. So if you're not aware, Nathan Broad and Noah Bolter, geez, I almost forgot. Noah Bolter have both gone out of the side with injuries. So another key couple of players of the Tigers have gone down. No surprises there at this stage. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting. I think we will win. I think we have to win to keep our finals hopes alive. And we really need to bounce back and show something after we gave absolutely nothing on Friday night.
Yeah. I think you guys will win. Gold Coast are looking no good, losing to North last week as well. So they're in a bad way, and I think there's going to be a lot of change at that club end of the season.
Yeah, there has to be. We've spoken about it a couple of times on the podcast.
They're third last.
They've gone under the radar a little bit with how bad they actually have been.
Yeah, they copped it a bit last week, but I think the heat's going to keep coming for them.
It has to, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Friday night, we've got Geelong and Essendon at GMHBA. The Cats will definitely want to bounce back after last week. They got embarrassed by Brisbane at the Gabba, absolutely smashed.
Absolutely, and there's no better place for them to do it than at GMHBA, the hometown. They'll draw a crowd out there, and it'll be a feisty game. Bombers, if they keep playing the way they have been, they won't roll over it by any means. I think it'll be quite a good game, but it doesn't matter who plays Geelong down at GMHBA. I don't tip against Geelong down there, so you got to go the Cats.
Yeah, you got to go Geelong. Saturday afternoon, we've got Melbourne and GWS at the MCG. I think Melbourne quite comfortably there. I think GWS lost their chance last week to get a good win there, and I can't see them beating Melbourne at the G.
No, absolutely not. Unless Melbourne have one of their uncharacteristic off nights, they won't lose.
No. Adelaide and Brisbane at the Adelaide Oval after that game. They're saying this game's going to be moved.
Really?
So does that change anything for you?
I think Brisbane wins regardless.
Regardless of where they play.
I think Brisbane wins regardless. So,
but Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval, they're a different proposition. Are you?
I'm being filmed in the background. So
You're
I'm
pulling
faces. I'm being filmed in the background. Someone thinks they're sneaky.
Jesus. Live audience.
It's a bad idea.
Every time they're always getting called out for something.
How does Oprah do it?
Gives out free cars, that's why.
We're going to give something out, I reckon. But I think Brisbane win regardless. But Adelaide Oval makes such a big difference to the Crows. The atmosphere, the crowd gets around them. They're a new team up at Adelaide, or down at Adelaide, depending where you're living. But I think Brisbane will win regardless.
Yeah, I think Lions too good. Saturday night, I've got Freo and Carlton at Optus Stadium, but this is more than likely to not be there. So hopefully it's down in Melbourne, because that gives us a huge advantage. We beat them by 45 points earlier in the year.
Yeah, well, we beat St Kilda by 86 last time we played them too in Melbourne's at Marvel. So it doesn't matter. Past results mean nothing to me anymore.
Don't bring me down. Come on.
Past results do mean nothing to me. However, if this game gets moved, then
it would change everyone's tip, I feel like.
I can't tip against Carlton if it gets moved because Freo are no good away from home. I still tip Carlton if it's at Optus because Freo haven't given me much to go by this year. But it'd be hard to. I don't know. It's a tough one for me because Freo are pretty good at home as well. So if it's at Freo, I'm gonna tip Carlton either way actually. So
yeah. If it stays in Perth, I'm going to tip Freo, but I don't think it will. If it's down here, I'm going to give us a red hot go.
Absolutely.
Last time we played Freo on a Saturday night in Perth was the famous Jack Nunes goal after the siren.
That's right. That's what sprung to mind when I was talking about it. So he could do it again.
He could.
If he gets a game, he's not getting picked at the
moment.
He
played on the weekend.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He hasn't been great, but he played. He plays every now and just does a roll.
That's right.
The other game on Saturday night, we've got Hawthorn and Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. As well as the Hawks have been playing.
You don't see them knocking off.
I don't know.
Another one. Surprised it's at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah.
I guess it is. I mean, it's at night, and I guess the Melbourne games during the day at the G, it's probably a bit too quick of a turnover.
That's the thing. If Freo and Carlton get swapped over, they can't play at the MCG or Marvel. Because there's a Marvel and MCG game that day, so that's going to have to get moved.
You could play at the G probably though, couldn't you?
Because there's Melbourne play there.
But they're playing in the afternoon at 1:45.
Do they do double headers the same ground?
No, but because of COVID,
they might just do it.
I mean, where else do you play Princess Park?
I'd love that.
Yeah, I know you
Absolutely.
would. But you know what I mean? Like, where
Yeah.
else do you play? They're really your only two options. So, we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But yeah, I'm going to go Port Adelaide against the Hawks. I don't see Hawthorn getting over them.
Yeah, Port for me as well. Sunday afternoon, we've got Sydney and West Coast at GMHBA Stadium.
We do, which is a
You're
very
getting
interesting
distracted
place
by
to
the
be.
live audience again.
The live audience is killing me. Yeah, GMHBA. You wouldn't think you'd be saying this too often. Sydney versus West Coast at GMHBA, but I mean, you can't go past Sydney, can you? Especially when West Coast are playing away from Optus Oval.
Yeah, and West Coast lost by 100 points last time they played at GMHBA.
They did too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So Sydney for mine.
Yeah.
And we'll just have to wait and see how the travel all works out for those sides and whatnot. But yeah, Sydney for me, definitely.
Sydney as well. Collingwood and St Kilda at the MCG.
I don't know.
Interesting game.
I
Very
really
interesting.
don't know.
Yeah, I think Collingwood because it's at the G, but then the Saints beat Richmond at the G last week. It doesn't make sense, but
No, I'm going Collingwood as well.
yeah, I'm going to go Collingwood.
Yeah, I think
But
Collingwood.
either way wouldn't surprise me.
No, I'm the same. So either way wouldn't go past me. But yeah, no, Collingwood as well for me.
Yeah. And the final game of the round, we've got the Western Bulldogs against North Melbourne at Marvel. Look at the odds.
I'm going for North. Tipping North.
$12.50.
I'm tipping North for this one.
You're going to tip North?
Yep.
Really?
You wait and see, mate.
Okay.
You watch.
All right. I'm not. I'm going to tip the Dogs.
Coward.
Flying form. And yeah, it'd be silly to pick against them.
You're a cat, mate.
I know. Sorry. But that is round 16 all done. Yeah, as we said earlier, all those games might be shuffled around, venue changes and everything by the time this podcast even comes out. So we'll wait and see with that. But yeah, should we thank our sponsors before we wrap up?
We should, before we forget. Can't do that. There are, they make this show possible. So I want to thank Millie and Mar to start off with. They've been fantastic to us across the journey.
And Retrojet Prince Go Ends.
Whoop.
And we're also hoping to get Ends on the podcast very soon as well.
We are very shortly. He's surprised us with a nice little gift that he's planning on bringing down to the podcast studio. And once that comes in, he's going to jump on the show with us. I think with Lawrence as well, his son. So that'll be good.
Beautiful.
2 diehard Richmond supporters.
Great.
And, you thought I was bad.
Yeah.
Wait till you hear those two jump on. That'll be an interesting day. So
I might just sit out for that one. Just let you guys just talk.
Take it away, mate.
Yeah.
No problem. No dramas at all. But that'll be a very interesting podcast. So stay tuned for that one when that comes about.
Easy. All right. Well, that is us done. As we say every week, make sure you leave us a review. Subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. Keep the reviews coming. They're all fantastic. We love you all. So keep them coming. And yeah, enjoy round 16. We'll chat next week.